At Grand Rapids Chevrolet GMC in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, we have the trucks. Over 47 new Silverados and Sierras sitting currently on the lot with more to come. We have all the options: LT, RST, LTZ, High Countries, ZR2s. We have heavy duties. We have Sierra, SLT, Elevations, Denali's. We are equipped for the truck you are looking for. With great rebates currently, with up to $12,500 off on select models, now would be a great time to take advantage of savings and get yourself into a new truck today. Grand Rapids GM in Grand Rapids, Minnesota.
Welcome, everybody, to the Tea with Ms McGill Show, presented by our friends over at Fortune Bay Resort and Casino. Make plans today to visit Fortune Bay Resort and Casino on beautiful Lake Vermilion. Fortune Bay offers 172 rooms and a smoke-free resort, an indoor pool, full-service marina, RV park, world-class golf, and several dining options. Of course, there's a bar and 24/7 gaming. Visit fortunebay.com for details and plan your trip up to the Bay today. A couple of weekends ago, I was up at the Bay. We left with a little money. So we're feeling pretty good about ourselves.
You left money up there?
No, we left with a little bit of money. $6. $6.
Somebody that took money from the casino.
$6 in the good. So get up there. We had a good time. Like I said, plan your trip today. It is Buka speaking. It is the star of the show, Coach Reed Larson. We got a guest we're going to introduce here in just a second, episode 91. And Coach, we're just talking about this little pre-chat. Football's over.
Yeah, it is. It's the shift into hockey season. It was a little tough ending there. The old Thunderhawks were down in North Branch for the section semifinal, and it was a 14-14 finale at the end of the fourth quarter. Thunderhawks battled back in the second half to tie it up. Went into halftime down 14-0, tied it up the second half, bring it into overtime, and the old Vikings from North Branch prevailed and ended our season. It was a pretty great effort by both sides, but heartbreaking. Yet you kind of hate to say it this way, that sometimes it's easier to turn the page on the season if you went into that game and you got beat by a couple touchdowns. You're like, all right, well, they were better than us, blah, blah, blah. It's even harder when you come in and you battled and you lost it in overtime in a football game and it was so close. It's like, oh, it was literally, the game was inches. Literally inches, because we got stopped on the goal line to win.
Okay. Well, good season. What the heck? Something to build up. When did you go to state? Was that last year or 2 years ago now?
That was back in the fall of 21 was when we played Orono.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're excited to welcome our guest. This will be our final interview episode of the year. And then so next month is November, daylight savings, as I see already, Sunday morning, technically Saturday night. So it's really going to start feeling like hockey. We got Halloween this week, but we'll get into our pre-season show, sometime, in a few weeks here in November, and then we'll be going weekly again. But we're, like I said, very happy to have our special guest here, Coach Chad Baldwin. He's your high school coach up in International Falls. So we're going to kick it around and get to know Chad a little bit better. So how's everything in the Falls?
It's going pretty good. Just like everybody else, tryouts just got over. Had a couple scrimmages this past weekend for our youth teams, and kind of like Reed, our football season just got over. The boys had a pretty good year. But now the captains are taking
a playoff game too, right? Did they win their first one last week?
Yep. And then they kind of lost to the powerhouse there, Moose Lake. So
okay.
Earlier in the year they only lost by 6 up in the Falls here on homecoming, and then they went down to Moose in the semis and kind of got it handed to them a little bit, but they had a good year. They started out, I think, 5-0 actually.
Really?
Yeah. And then had a couple injuries, and I think ended up 5-3 or 5-4. But really good year for the Bronco football team.
Yeah, it sounded like they were kind of on the rise over the course of the last couple of years. I talked to a couple of friends of mine that are, G&K fans over in Coleraine Greenway and Nashwauk Keewatin, and they'd played the Falls earlier in the year and just said they were kicking. They were pretty good.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good.
That's pretty good considering what, the jump that the program has made over the course of the last 10 years. It kind of went and climbed. So it's good to see.
Yeah, they have a strong junior class. That'll be back, obviously back next year, and I think a sophomore quarterback or junior quarterback, I can't remember, but their big loss would be Cooper Crandall, the running back. But for the most part, the rest of their studs are coming back, so they should be right there again next year.
That'll be fun to see.
Good
to see some success up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll just start her off. So, our usual first question. How'd you get into hockey? How'd you get started? I know you got a couple of brothers. I don't know if you're the oldest. I think you might be the old. I can't remember. I just know there's a couple of brothers around. So how, was it dad or what? How'd you get into Bronco hockey?
Well, are we talking high school hockey or just
Oh, we're
getting
not
into
right
playing hockey?
when you were 3 years old.
Okay, 3 years old. Gosh.
Go back to the 60s.
Yeah. Hey, come on now.
I look like
What I can remember, I actually even found old paper clipping the other day going through my parents' stuff. Just like most guys around up north here, your dad takes you out to the outdoor rinks and ties your skates up, and you start moving around a little bit and brave the cold a little bit, and eventually you start. I guess we called it termites back then, and just took off from there. My dad never played high school hockey, but he was always a rink rat, and he was a good athlete. Played fast pitch softball. He's just a good all around player, sports player. But got me involved, and then it was all kind of history from there.
And you climbed up through the ranks and ended up playing your whole career through International Falls and youth hockey, Pee-wees, Bantams, and then into high school.
Yeah, so I graduated in 2000. Came up through the Falls system. Once we got to Pee-wees, we had a pretty dominant first year group. So our first year in Pee-wees and Bantams, we struggled a little bit just because we were first years, and our second years had a little lower numbers or not as many A players. But our second year, we always had a lot of success. We would usually, make it to the game to go to regions every year in Pee-wees and Bantams. Eventually lose out to Hibbing and Rapids back when the Rapids had Downing and Sammy Johnson, and
yep.
Hibbing had Bottoms, and
yeah, those are some names.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a good era too when you think about some of the teams that came through at that time. Like I was just a few years in front of you, as I graduated in '97, so
okay,
I came through the time frame of like the Dugas and
Austin.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That group and Andy Shermone and those guys that came through and won a state championship in what was it, 95?
Yep, 95. Yeah.
95 and battled in Iron Range Conference championships with us every year. And it was pretty, that was an interesting program at the time, like really good Falls program to come through. And that sounded like it was cruising right into the 2000s time frame with the same success.
Yeah, I was in grade 7 back then. So, I mean, you're just starting to get real serious with hockey. So that was obviously a huge moment in your life. And, I think anytime a small town can make or it revitalizes the program, and, kids just get that much more hungry to hopefully try to get there. And, my senior year, we did actually get to state, and, we ended up knocking off Duluth Marshall in the section finals. That was back in the day when there was a 1 North and a 1 South. And we ended up driving down to the deck to play Marshall, which always seems weird. You have to go to Duluth to play Duluth. But
yeah, right. It wasn't a real neutral site, was it?
Couldn't meet hitting, huh? They had to do it in Duluth.
Exactly. So yeah, we had some good teams all the way up, and I think we'll touch on it a little bit here, but things are starting to come around again, and there's a lot to be excited about.
Well, what was state like? I didn't know you played in the state tournament. So what was that like?
Oh, I mean, awesome. Kind of, I don't know, just kind of a blur, to be honest with you. Like your whole life, you just want to get there and play in it, and then you're there, and I don't know, the week just seems to fly by. But our first game, we played Hutchinson, beat them 6-0. And then we played Warroad in the semis, which earlier in the year we played them on Parents' Night up in the Falls and lost in overtime. So we knew it was going to be a barn burner. We went into the Target Center for the semifinals. Went to double overtime.
No.
And they knocked us off in double overtime. So obviously a kick in the gut there, but
Yeah,
we
right.
ended up beating gosh, who was it? Can't remember right now for some reason, but we ended up winning in overtime to get third place. So
Who was your coach back then?
Kevin Gordon was the head coach. John Prettyman was the assistant, and George McDonald was the other assistant. So,
okay. So Prettyman and George stuck with it.
Yep.
Ended up having their time in the driver's seat up there.
Yeah, both those guys have spent a lot of years as assistant coaches, and then after Gord retired, JP had his time as a head coach for I don't know, I want to say 5-6 years, and then George took over, maybe 5 years after he did. So
yeah. And then how many years have you had it now?
this will be my fifth. So 10th year overall. I did 5 years as an assistant, and then this will be my 5th year as head.
Okay. Well, I want to get in that just a second. Let me do a quick ad read here. We've talked about before the Rink Sports Bar and Grill, excuse me, just down from the Hockey Hall of Fame over there in Evelyn. When you're in the Quad Cities, this is your place. Nightly specials. Monday's burger night, just $6.50. Tuesday tacos. Wednesday wing night. Friday fish fry, like I said, the legendary best fish fry in the Quad Cities. All you can eat, of course, and then the Prime Rib special on Saturdays. So do yourself a favor. Next time you're over there, give Michelle a call, 248-8582. You can visit them at the rinksportsbarandgrill.com. You can place your order there. So get over there and tell Michelle that the Tea with Ms McGill show sent you, and crush that like button right now because we got some good stuff here. So let's, where do you want to go? More high school? Or we want to move on? Because you did play, I mean, I was taking a look here. So I see you had some time a little bit in the AWHL, which was, I think they turned into the NA at one point, and even the SIJHL. We got a little familiarity with that, here on the range because there was the, team in Chisholm for a year, I think, when Chelios's brother was coaching, and then we also had the team in Hoyt Lakes for a while. So we kind of got a taste of it. Unfortunately, the team, I don't know, would they close up in Hoyt maybe 5 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was something. But like, 10.
What was that like? Because I know Don Cherry was at some game with them at one point too. A couple of years ago, they had like a hockey day, and he was broadcasting from one of the athletic games.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, so after high school, like I said, we had some success, and back then you're starting to get some letters in the mail or a random call here or there, going out for lunch with some different junior coaches, and went to some tryouts. Your goal is obviously to play in the USHL or the NA, and ended up being able to go out to Butte, Montana for a little bit. Turned into a little bit of a suitcase there for a while. Was in Butte for a little bit, came home. Then eventually ended up in Fairbanks, Alaska with one of my line mates from high school, Brady Fogner. We actually drove up to Fairbanks in his Jeep, which was awesome experience. I was up there for, I don't know, probably 4 months. And then that's when the SI kicked off. And then eventually, I think they called Fairbanks enough. And then I guess just like a tiny version of pro hockey, they bought my rights, and it wasn't a trade or anything. I don't know, a couple grand to get my rights or something. And then I ended up back here.
I heard it was a case of beer.
What's that?
I heard it was a case of beer. That was
you never know. It could have been.
It
could have been hopefully 2. I mean,
I think your brother Jace told me that.
Yeah,
at least it was something of that stature. Yeah. Like I think maybe when I got traded at one point in time, or when there was an exchange, like at the end of the Twin Cities Vulcans to the Bismarck Bobcats, there might have been an exchange of like a used puck bag or something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, who knows? That's what they told me anyways. Maybe they're trying to make me feel good, but
so where were you for that? Were you rating Fort?
Yeah.
Oh,
so back then it was the Borderland Thunder. The Kuchiching, the reservation on Fort owned the team back then. So they ran, my opinion, they ran a really, really good program. We had a lot of good players. We had good coaches. Wayne Strand was my coach when I first got back. I think he's won 3 national championships at Lake Superior State.
Oh, wow.
And then the next year, Dave Allison took over, and he played pro hockey, coached in the NHL, so had really good coaches. And my second year, we had a really good team. We hosted the Dudley Hewitt Cup, and we lost in overtime to the team that won the Royal Bank that year. So
sure,
a lot of a couple of Falls kids. My good friend Critter Nagurski.
Oh yeah.
He ended up there. He got traded back. Actually, kind of similar situation. Allison was all over the Tulsa Crude back then when Critter was in the USHL, and I think harped on him enough to get him back home and play in Fort. But
so correct me if I'm wrong. So the Dudley Hewitt is like the province championship, and then the RBC Cup is like the all Canadian junior national championship.
Right. So there's 3 or 4, bigger junior A leagues in Ontario, and then they all meet for the Dudley.
Yep.
And then the winner of that would go to the Royal Bank, which was in Prince Edward Island, which he could have got there. That'd have been a pretty wicked experience. But we ended up losing in overtime to Wellington Dukes, and they ended up either winning it or getting to the championship in the Royal Bank. But
that's a pretty big feather in the cap to say that you played the team that ended up going to Royal Bank and was in, even if they're in the Final Four, that's pretty sweet because you're talking all of Canada and all of the, junior leagues throughout from West Coast to East Coast, all, Alberta, British Columbia, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, all of those end up.
Show up from the Yukon, team from the Yukon, they send one down?
Not that I know of, but maybe they were up there. They might have made their way over, and
sure they come down on a toboggan or what?
Yeah, the Sled Dogs pulled up the team. Yeah.
But really, still talk to quite a few guys from that team, and it was a lot of guys from like northwestern Ontario, Kenora, Fort. You got a couple guys from Manitoba, but then you had like Dan Haney from Duluth East, if you remember his name. He was our goalie. Jay Phillips from Bemidji, couple of Falls guys, and it was just a really good blend. Like us American guys, I think brought a little more of the skill and speed, and then boy, there's some tough guys in that league, and I was lucky enough to stay out of that.
Well, I know the leagues that how tough they are. When I played in Bismarck, we always did a preseason game. They always did a preseason game, but we did a couple preseason series in Estevan, and we played the Estevan Bruins, and that was a
oh god, yeah.
Those guys were meaner than hell.
I never got to play any boys from Saskatchewan, but you always hear that league was just
it was tough.
Insane, yeah.
Harsh. I mean, we're sitting there looking at these guys. Here I am, 20 years old, and I'm looking at guys that I'm not even kidding you, look like they're 26.
Yeah. We played in the Clipper Classic. Who was it? Little Crossroads, Kindersley, Saskatchewan, a preseason tournament.
Oh yeah,
man was there in Medicine Hat.
Oh,
and I can't remember which of the teams, but they were a big rivalry. We played, and we go watch this rivalry. It's the prime time Friday night. Place, it's a Quonset hut. Place is just absolutely headbutting each other. Going berserk, blood all over there. So I'm like, holy cow, I don't think I'm playing tomorrow. Like, these guys are cool.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to earn whatever, it was the preseason. It was like this time. It was, October, even early, late September probably. But yeah, it was pretty wicked.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, why don't we, I'll tell you what, we got to take a quick break here. So we'll be right back with our guest tonight, International Falls Bronco coach, Chad Baldwin.
Sounds good.
And then he played at Augsburg. Welcome back to the Tea with Ms McGill Show. Once again, joined by our special guest, Chad Baldwin, International Falls Broncos head coach. All right, we're kind of going through your career just to kind of bookend it here a little bit. Looks like you got a little stint at Augsburg. So what do you remember about being in the big city?
Oh, it was great. It was great. Sorry there, you're cutting out for a second.
What do you remember about being in the big city there with Augsburg, practically downtown Minneapolis?
Ah, gosh, it was a good time. I really liked it for the 4 years I was there. But after that, it was good to come back up north and kind of get out of the hustle and bustle, I guess. And
Get back to Normalville.
right, exactly. And not have to drive, I guess could have made some shorter trips, but get home to hunt and fish and all that stuff in the fall but no, I had a great time. I just played my freshman year there. Had a decent year for a freshman, and after that, um, I played 2.5, 3 years at juniors. Played, I don't know, over 100 games at juniors, and I don't know. At that time, you can kind of see the writing on the wall, and just focused on school, and decided to hang it up, I guess, and
So what
focus
year
on
was that
school.
that you were at Augsburg? What year were you there?
Well, I graduated in 2007, so it would have been, I guess,
Yeah, 03,
03.
Yeah, 03,
03,
Right around there. Yeah. So
I'm drawing blank, but the year of 03, 04 was the year that I was done. So I graduated from UW Superior in 03.
okay.
Had to finish student teaching in the fall of 03, and the rest of the year, then I stayed on as a graduate assistant coach at UWS. I don't remember if we played Augsburg that year or not, but we must have.
Oh, well,
If we did,
yeah, we went up there my freshman year, and Superior is notorious for having a bunch of Canadians, and
Yep.
at
Yeah,
least they were back then. I don't know if they still are, but
they were at the time. That was the era
yeah.
back then. And now there's probably a little bit less of that, but still get the Canadian outlook for sure.
Right. I guess kind of a bad look on my part, or funny as well. But freshman year, go up to Superior, and I can't remember the score, but they beat us pretty good. But I turned up the ice with the puck. I don't even know, say second period, and somebody came through and just lit me up, and I lost a glove. My glove flew off, and got back in the play. Ended up getting the puck again, made a move around another guy, kept carrying the puck, sidestepped another guy, and somebody just crushed me. So I have one glove, get blasted by another yellow jacket, and lost my stick and my glove. So I had to skate back to the bench with bare paws. It was just so humiliating.
Well, I'm glad you tell me the story, because I do not remember it. I'm sure it was standing on the bench.
Well, maybe it wasn't the same year then, because that's probably something you would remember.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it was standing there as a first year coach, like the first time I've ever been coaching in my life, standing next to Dan Stauber and Randy Barker going, "What do you want me to do?" I don't know.
Right.
I've never coached.
I bet your teammates never forgot that. You're forgetting.
Oh God, yeah. I don't know.
That sounds like an interesting game. Well,
it
say that I've never had one of those before in my life.
It wasn't a highlight of my career, that's for sure. But something funny to look.
Stuff like that happens at Westman Arena, that's for sure. Stuff like that happens.
Well, let me get a quick ad read in here. Aspire Heating and Control, your local Bryant dealer. And Bryant is, of course, the official heating and cooling company of your Minnesota Wild. Aspire specializes in gas, electric, and hydronic heating and cooling systems for new and existing construction, existing construction and new construction. Residential commercial installations available. Services include forced air systems, boilers, heat pumps, mini splits, and they are, of course, licensed and bonded. Give Justin a call, 999-5957. I said daylight savings time's coming. The heater's probably already been kicking on a little bit. So if you need a tune-up, Justin's your guy, 999-5957. Aspire Heating and Control. All right, well, let's move on. Let's really jump ahead and let's talk about today. Let's start. You got little kids. Let's talk about the state of youth hockey currently in I Falls.
Yeah, things have been going really good, I would say, for our sophomore group coming in. So I would say probably last 4 or 5 years have started having a lot of success. 4 or 5 years ago in Pee Wee's, this sophomore group made her through districts. They went to regions. and then made it to the region championship and lost in the region championship. The next year, they moved up to Bantams. A new group came into Pee Wees, obviously. And in the last 5 years, we've had teams consistently in the region tournament, making it to the semis, making it to the region championship, and just some good players. We got good coaches in our system, and winning makes you want to win more. So these kids got a taste of it. They know how close they got to getting to state, and they're pretty well tested, and they work at it. They're putting in the time, and they care. So they got a taste of success, and that's what we're gonna hopefully start seeing here starting this year. We do have a smaller senior group, but they're really good players, good kids. This junior group was one of those groups in Bantams that ended up losing to Roseau to go to state 2 years ago. They beat them 3 times in the regular season, and then Roseau knocked them off in Thief River, I believe it was. So just a lot of kids that have put in the time. They love hockey, and just couldn't be more excited to get to this point.
We kind of hope for the perfect setup, like the storybook ending, right? They almost, as a Pee Wee group, lost it in the semis or lost it in the finals of the region, almost as the Bantams got the region semifinals and didn't make it. But now in their high school career, it's like everything that you're building the program the right way, just like we always talk about when I was in Virginia and as well here in Rapids, is that it's fine if your teams are making it to the youth hockey state tournaments, but really what the goal is for us to be ready to make it and win when they're in high school. And that's hopefully the perfect storm, is to get the chance to do it when they're up with you and up at the Bronco high school program.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, these kids have put in a lot of time. Well, Rod, you would know Ross Johnson. He was the head coach, I want to say 12 years ago.
In there. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he had a couple of years in there, and he started doing some summer stuff with the high school more than normal. The year before you start coaching high school, you haven't coached the high school kids, so you can run dry land, lift weights, and all that stuff because they weren't your players yet. And we're good buddies. And I was telling him, and this was before, I think my kids are in like mini mites or something, and I was just telling him, well, all right, well, that's great. You guys are doing this for high school, but we need to do something before they get to you. Once they get to you, it's, I mean, you can get them better, but it's almost too late, right?
Right.
So my buddy and I and a couple other guys started in the summers for 2-3 months, and 3 days a week we started running dry land. We started getting donations for the super dekers, the stick handling equipment, like all the high end stuff. And to this day, we're still running that every summer. And these kids that are coming through now have been doing this since they're like probably 8 years old. And not all of them, but the core guys, or the guys that are probably the better players that put the time in, and a lot of dedication from other guys in our program to just do more than just the average, or just the norm. And I think it's starting to pay off. And nowadays it's what you have to do. I mean, you can't just show up to practice, play your games, go home. Right. In the summers, you need a little break. I do believe in that. But play baseball, play football, do whatever you need to do in the summers, but get on the ice a little bit more and work at it. And I think we're going to start showing that when you put that time in, and you have guys that believe and love Bronco hockey and have had success, if you put the time in and you start having success, it snowballs. And
Just keep
Yeah,
breathing.
good things are coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like. But it's kind of cool because as many games as I've had the pleasure of playing in, as well as coaching in up in Bronco Arena, I think about how difficult of a place that is to win a hockey game. And I don't care who you are coming in, whether I was coaching in Virginia or whether I was playing for Grand Rapids High School back in the day. I used to have these conversations with Sheldon Willis when he's our radio guy here down here now. And but
Yep.
he always
I
do
know
the
Sheldon.
radio
Yep.
up in International Falls. And I remember having interviews with him as a Virginia coach up in the stands before the game started during the JV game. And he'd talk about, well, what do you think about when you're coming here with your team? And I always just say, Sheldon, I have to tell you that coming into this arena is, for me, it's nostalgic, but it's also really intimidating because I think about, I don't know if everybody else does, but I'm kind of a sap when it comes to like history. And I
Yeah.
think about all of the great players that played in that rink and all of the great coaches that coached on that bench. It's really intimidating to be standing on that bench going, oh my gosh, like Dean Blaze, all these guys that were here coaching and all these, so many names you can throw out there. You got a million of them, of people that coached there or guys that played in that arena. And I used to say, you're not only playing the Broncos when you're in here, but you're also playing the ghosts and the rafters, that you've got tradition that is like knocking on your door. And besides that, when you're on the visitors bench, you got people sitting right behind you that are just going, Coach, you guys are going to lose. You're going to, and they're right in my ear, right here. And I'm like, holy cow, like what's going on? I used to tell my team, like my JV, I'd say, as soon as a JV game is over, I don't even want you to shower. I want you to sit right behind the bench so that you smell and that nobody sits close to you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
tell me about that arena and how special that is to play there, because I think it's special. And I didn't even grow up there.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard it from multiple guys, just kind of what you talked about. And, it's special. I remember going there as a little kid. You walk down from the concession area, you come down the stairs, and you hear the Dirty Dozen just wailing on their drums and playing the music. And the band's just rocking, and the stands were full. And um, it's just special. It gives me chills.
Yeah.
And then when you're younger, to see the success, you know, obviously every program has a little bit of highs and lows, but um, always super competitive. And that's what I think the Iron Range and us up here in the Falls always pride ourselves on. Whether you're one of the better teams or one of the weaker teams, nobody's going to outwork you. And that's what I try to explain to our teams. We're getting smaller and smaller as a community, and having some ups and downs again, but just try to explain to these kids how much pride there is in these jerseys and in this rink, and just try to tell them, like, you play for one of the most historic Minnesota high school hockey teams in the state, and you try to express it to them. It's been a little while since we've had, a lot of success, but you do your best to explain to them how much it means to people, and how much guys, I'm sure, just like in Rapids or the Range or Hibbing, just like, even though guys move out of town, they still follow, or they still check the scores, or read the paper, or whatever. And
Here's a question for you. Do you ever have like reunions of former championship teams, like to bring them in and do something for your high school team? Just an example, last year we did a reunion for, or was it last year, a couple of years ago, we did one for like the first state tournament team that came out of Rapids. That was 1972 was the first state tournament team. This year, we're going to have another reunion for the 1975 team that won the first state title. And, then there'll be another one the following year in 2026, because it'll be another reunion. That's one of the ways that I think really kind of reboots, like, oh my gosh, these guys are here. They won the
absolutely,
state title, and thinking about, you got a really good opportunity if to take in and try to reach out to your 95 team and say, this was 30 years ago. Like, boom.
yeah, it's crazy to
You know what
think.
I mean? And have those guys come in and
Yeah.
and do something like that. That's just an idea. It just came up to me because we've done that in Rapids the last couple of years.
I'm glad you brought that point up because 2 years ago we had our 75th anniversary, and St. Paul Johnson came up, and they were one of the Broncos rivals, big time rivals back in the 60s or
the tournament rivals.
Yep. And so they had a 75th reunion. They invited every Bronco alumni back to Bronco Arena, all the state tournament, any guy that played in the state tournament who could make it home, got to go on the ice and get their name called. And they brought some old boys home that were in the Dirty Dozen, and they were cranking it up there, and the Bronco Arena was packed. And after the team got to come through and shake hands and meet the older alumni, and we still get some pretty good crowds, especially when we play for Francis or win or lose, we still have good crowds, and everybody still loves coming to games. And even out of town games, sometimes we go to out of town games and we have more fans than the teams we go play. But getting back to that 75th anniversary, the rink was jammed, and you're standing out there. Me and my buddies that played in 2000, you got the 95 guys, the 2002 guys, and then 89, and so on and so forth. And those my players are coming through shaking all these guys' hands, and they're just in awe.
Yeah,
the rink's freaking going nuts, bands playing, and get in the locker room. They're like, "Coach, is this really how it used to be?"
Yeah, right, like the good old days.
Oh boy, it was amazing. And
it's pretty cool to reboot a culture and to show them what, these are the old days. Not saying today is not great, but this is a part of history that, that you guys get to be a part of, and you put that jersey on, just remember what you're wearing. And that it's always been pretty cool to have that. We got 3 guys on our staff here at Rapids that all played here, so it's pretty cool that all 3 with 4 of us on the varsity staff, out of the 4 of us, 3 of us put the jersey on at one point in time. So it's pretty cool.
Same here
to have that. So, and same with you guys.
Our staff, we're all alumni, and that's one of the things I talk about. And at the season-ending meeting is like, other towns or other teams, maybe have a lot of success some years because they're bigger programs or have other things going on, but there's not many teams that have the entire staff of alumni.
Right.
It's usually lots of guys that love coaching. They find a place to coach, and but
something about the
there's something to be said about guys coming home, want to get back on the bench, get as close as you can to playing again.
Yeah, right.
Makes
That's
it pretty
the closest we're ever going to get, except for men's league.
yeah, exactly. So
I want to ask another question about your assistance in Bronco Arena, but real quick before that, Iron Ranger Apparel, new location next to Super One, right on Highway 53 in Virginia, as we call it, the Gift Buyer's Paradise. Of course, we've got, stocking caps for the winter. We got baseball caps for summer. Christmas is coming. So just remember Iron Ranger Apparel. Of course, if you need any screen printing, they make t-shirts, hats, and they do our swag here with Tea with Ms McGill. So reach out to them. 741-5138, tees, visors, hoodies, and like I said, all kinds of knickknacks in the store, Minnesota themed items. So like I said, if you're looking for that perfect gift for somebody, anybody, or that special person, Iron Ranger Apparel in Virginia. Couple of questions. Who are your current assistant coaches? And I heard, isn't there an addition or remodeling going on at Bronco Arena right now?
Yeah, so I'll just start with my assistant coaches first. We're having a little turnover right now because all my assistant coaches have recently gotten married and starting to have kids. So their time, I guess, is needed elsewhere, I guess you could say. But last year, we had Brady Jelly as our goalie coach. He just had a little girl. Dominic Casaretto, he helped with the JV. He had a little girl, and then John McDonald, George's son, has been coaching for, I don't know, 5-6 years now as one of my assistants, and he just had a little girl too, so that pipeline might be getting a little stronger.
Girls hockey's on the come up there now.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, seems like it, you have good memories. You get back to town, go to college, get back to town, and if there's an opening, you put certain guys put their name in and work their way up, and it's pretty cool when we're not all the same age, but we're within a handful of years, so you know each other and grew up together and watch each other play, and it's just like hanging out with one of your buddies you graduated with, and it's a pretty cool deal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what's going on at the arena?
So about maybe a month or two ago, we had a referendum come through, and in most cases, the school portion of it has to pass before like any athletic stuff can move forward. And there was, I want to say, like 13 to 14 million of upgrades to our schooling, our buildings, and that passed hands down. It was great. And then the other portion was fixing up our football stadium, the lockers, just upgrading the underneath the stands at Bronco Stadium. I mean, those are in really tough shape. I mean, it's like a cellar down there. So that's going to be really nice. And then the other portion of it is going to 4 new locker rooms.
Oh,
So where our benches are now, they're side by side now. They're not like they used to be across from each other. So the locker rooms will be behind our benches. We'll come out from right behind our benches and come onto the ice. But there'll be 2 brand new JV rooms, boys and girls, 2 brand new varsity rooms, boys and girls.
oh, nice.
Coaches' rooms. Just it's going to be amazing. I think we're one of the last schools or programs that don't have their own locker room. So it's going to be really special, and just to have a more modern setup. And I know you guys have been in our locker rooms before. They're not the most ideal when you're trying to talk to your team, or they got the L shape and you can't see half the team, and when you do need them, you got to squeeze into one side, and it's just not ideal. And they're the same locker rooms from when the place was built. So it's nice to catch up with the times, and it's going to be just something the players get to look forward to, and have more modern equipment to have film and all that stuff. So couldn't be more excited.
Mentality of if you build it, they will come too, right? Like you build it and maybe more people get excited and continues to grow the program. It sounds like success is going to grow the program. It's been doing that lately, and now facilities get kids excited. Play. More kids want to play.
Yeah.
Good to hear the community's behind you guys too. That's good to hear. Instead of pass with flying colors, that's good.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I mean, everybody I know, even the school board members, you're sitting there just hitting refresh on your computer, just waiting for all the votes to come in, and you're like, oh, it's getting a little closer. That section of town went up, that section went down. It was pretty fun, and great for the academic part of it too. I mean, that's huge. The teachers are more, they're ecstatic, and to have the support for our athletics too, it's just keeps everybody going, and everybody's still very prideful up here, and everybody wants to see success again.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I guess kind of my final question is just so how's the squad looking? You said you got a light senior group, you got some good leaders, captains. What are you anticipating?
Yeah, really excited. I don't know. It might be the first time in Bronco history we had a junior captain last year. I can't recall anybody being a junior captain ever. I mean, that's pretty unheard of in any place. Cooper Crandall, he led our team in points, just an all-around great kid. spends his off season in the weight room. He loves football. He loves hockey. And that's why, I mean, just well-rounded kid. And that's why he was a junior captain. You got one of his best friends, Asher Keep, who was probably one of the smoothest skaters that came through our program in a long time. He can fly. He's got high-end skill. It's kind of like he floats around the ice, really, to be honest with you. He stepped it up as a junior. He's going to be our other captain. So we have three our three top scorers returning, our top defenseman in scoring is returning, and we got both our goalies back. And then we have a really strong sophomore group coming through too. So it's going to be the first time in a long time we're going to have kids battling hard, to put the jersey on and to, fight for a third line spot or to break into a top six role. So, and I always say, the only way to get better is if you have competition within your group and you don't feel safe, right? I mean, there's some years in smaller programs when you might only have 6-8 kids on the JV, and
it's pretty dangerous to feel comfortable.
Right, exactly.
You feel comfortable, you take a break, and now you're not working for your job anymore.
Right. So it's exciting as a staff, and I think it's only going to make our players better when they have to come to practice and compete every day. And I would say we're going to have 4 lines that are going to be competing, third and fourth line guys that are going to try to get in the top 9, and they're going to be going at it every day just to try to get in that varsity lineup. So, I mean, that's really all you can ask for.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're, looking forward to it big time.
What are your youth numbers like?
Well, our class is now around 50, 55.
Okay.
When I graduated in 2000, we were like the 130s.
Holy, okay.
Yeah, so it's getting down there, but once we hit squirts and pee-wees, we're usually around the mid-20s, so you're having 2 teams of 11, 12. And then bantams, kids start getting different interests, or want to hunt and fish or snowmobile or get a girlfriend, or who knows what's going on when they get to that age. And
Yep.
some of the kids also see the writing on the wall that maybe hockey isn't their thing, but unfortunately in bantams, it's been the last 10, 15 years, it's been hard to have 2 bantam teams. So I think we've only had 2 bantam teams twice, I don't know, in the last dozen years probably.
Oh, really?
So we're trying to work with that a little bit and see if some of the second years that maybe aren't Bantam A quality that still love hockey and want to keep working at it, we try to get them to move up to our JV. And then there's, depending on when people put their kids in school, there's always, kids that are Bantam grade, but Pee-wee age.
Right.
So just trying to work with everybody so that all the kids get the right development, because, once you get to Bantams and you're playing Bantam A, it's hard to try to find a spot for everybody. So we're just doing our best to find the right spot so kids can develop, keep playing, feel like they're part of something. And, it's been, I mean, not that you want it at all, but I think we're doing the best we can, and we're still having success, like I said, in the last 5-6 years. But you just deal with the hand you're dealt, and
roll with it. Yep.
Yeah, and it's have guys playing in places where they're going to have success too, right? It's difficult when you have one Bantam team, and on that one Bantam team, you legitimately have 5 or 6 A-level kids, and you have 3 or 4 B-level kids, and probably 1 or 2 B2 level kids, and
right.
You're really not going to find room for success for all those guys. So it's nice if you have the opportunity to take a few of those kids and say, hey, this is the Bantam A team. It's going to be tough to get you playing on a regular basis, to have this particular role and that role. And hey, how about you get a little bit more ice time playing on a JV that maybe only has 11 guys on it and you're going to play.
Yep.
You know, and
Yep, exactly. That's the kind of the effort we're trying to put in to explain this to the program from top to bottom, because it's not a thing that's going to change. And you're just trying to express to these parents that maybe don't have, or even the Bantam A parents, like, we're in a tough situation here, and just express to them, it's, this is about developing each kid the right way, making sure they get ice time. It's not, singling out kids to, get them to JV or get them to go back to Pee Wees. It's just finding the right place so they can still develop, have success, get ice time, essentially. Because if you don't get ice time, it's tough to get any better.
Like playing time's an issue up there in the falls. Nobody's complaining about ice time.
No, that's a good thing. You're going every other shift, and you get to high school, then you got the three grades going together, and that helps out, obviously. So we have good enough numbers now where we're having 10 to 12 on our JV team. So JV gets about 15 to 18 games a year, and we're making it work. And for what the numbers we have, we're doing really good right now. And I think everybody's gonna start to see at the high school level that we're gonna make another push here.
Attaboy.
Good to hear.
All right. Well, that's all I got for you. I appreciate your time. You got anything else, Reed?
No, absolutely. Just a good opportunity here to get a chance to talk. And it's always fun to kind of reach out to different areas that, we haven't been able to spotlight or highlight enough on our show. It's like we brag about, the Tea with Ms McGill being something that covers all of northern Minnesota, and you like to talk about all of the storied Iron Range teams, and it's nice to get the Falls on there, and it's nice to hear that the Falls are back, and
so you guys are
going to be competing again. And I like the old school version of the Iron Range. It was really sad when all these teams started dipping out of the Iron Range and going to Lake Superior Conference. And even when Rapids did that, I'm like, it's tough. You're not battling for that Iron Range conference anymore. And so you don't get to see those teams anymore. And it's just good to hear some of these old Iron Range teams are starting to, things are starting to come back. It's a good feeling.
Yep, I hear you. I agree.
So appreciate all the work that you're doing up there, and keep up the good work. And I hope to see the dreams of the old Broncos come true and find their way down at the old XL Energy Center.
Right.
It'd be fun to see.
We're going to do our best.
All right, Baldy, thanks. You could just drop off. We got some closing remarks, so you could just drop off. Tell your brother Jace hello, and like I said, good luck this year.
All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Good luck, man. Take care.
Yeah.
All right, once again, that was Coach Chad Baldwin, International Falls High School. All right, episode 91. Anything else to add, Coach Larson?
No, we're just on the edge of hockey season starting. Girls hockey just started yesterday. They're 2 days into practice. That means whenever girls hockey starts, we are literally 2 weeks away from the start of boys high school season. November 11th will be the first Monday practice of boys high school season. And then we'll be right into the thick of it. That first weekend will be scrimmages in most places around the state. The next weekend, games will be starting. So we're right on top of it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. So around that time, whatever, it might be the week of the 11th or whatever, we'll have our preseason episode. We'll kind of preview everybody up here north, and then, like I said, all of a sudden it'll be the season, and we'll catch you every week going forward. So it's it's here.
Yep, we're ready.
Feel it. So. All right. Well, we'll close her up here. So please comment. We appreciate your comments. Once again, thank you, Coach Baldwin. Squash the follow button. Jam that thumbs up button on YouTube. Find us on X under T McGill. Tea with Ms. McGill on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the Musi app. If you're looking for us on Facebook, YouTube, or Rumble, it's Goat Sports Media LLC. Merch, of course, like we said, Christmas is coming. We got the tees. We've got baseball caps. We've got visors, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all that good stuff. $20 for a tee. And of course, thank you as always to our support. We got the greatest partners on earth: the Ring Sports Bar and Grill, Iron Range Apparel, Fortune Bay Resort and Casino, Aspire Heating and Control, Iron Range Goalie Academy, Grand Rapids Chevrolet GMC, and Minnesota Hockey Camps. For Reed Larson, I am Puka. Get out there and be your dream. You're tuned to the Tea with Ms McGill Show.
Did you know that fascia strength training is great if you have a banged up body and you'd like to heal and get stronger at the same time? Unlike muscle-focused exercise that leaves your body stiff and achy, fascia strength exercise releases muscle tension and fills your body with a spring-loaded power and cat-like agility. Fascia strength is great for athletes and martial artists. If you'd like to pursue this training, take a look at my program, Fascia Strength and Power. I'll leave a link in the description box below.
Yo everybody, it is Puka. Quick merch drop here. As always, a little breezy here. We've got the t-shirts, but now visors, 20 bucks. T-shirts, 20 bucks. Hats. Now these got the patches on them. So let us know also if you'd like to see something different, but Goatsportsmediallc at gmail.com, or you instant message. We can do, you know, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, all that good stuff. So there it is.